Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget friendly, and delicious. So if you'd like some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. For dinner this first night, I made Pollo Loco. I've shared this before on my channel. This recipe is from Plain Chicken. I'll link her recipe as well as my video in the description box below. To get started, I'm going to marinate my chicken breasts. I am using this Baja Chipotle Lowry's marinade. This is what Plain Chicken recommends, and I use it when I can find it. It can be a little bit hard to find though. I find it at Publix. She does list a different marinade that you can use in her recipe, but honestly, if you don't have or can't find either one of these marinades, you really could just season it really well with some taco seasoning or adobo seasoning. But I'm marinating the chicken. Here's the chicken after it's marinated. I did it overnight, but you can do it in as little as 30 minutes. I seasoned it with a little bit of salt and pepper, and then I'm just going to cook it in a skillet over the stove. I've also cooked it in my air fryer. You could also bake it. You just want to cook it until the chicken is at least 165 degrees internal temperature. Next, I made the Mexican rice that the Plain Chicken's recipe instructs you to make. You could use your own favorite Mexican rice recipe. You could also just use prepackaged Mexican rice. And then I made Love Missy XO's Queso Dip. If you're not familiar with her, I'll link her channel in the description box below. She took kind of like, I think maybe about a year break from YouTube, but she just recently started posting What's for Dinner videos again, so I'm super excited about it. But this Queso Dip is delicious. It tastes just like the stuff that you get from a Mexican restaurant, and it's so easy. So like I said, I'll have her video linked in the description box below. And then for the other side, I just did some quick refried beans. Again, I've shared this many times before on my channel. I'll have it linked in the description box below. I basically just take a can of refried beans, put it in a little saucepan over the stove with a little bit of water, just a couple tablespoons or so, some sour cream, salt, pepper, and a little bit of taco seasoning and hot sauce, and then just warm it up slowly. All right, here's the finished plate. So we've got the rice, the chicken, the queso dip, some of the refried beans, and then I like to top this with some of the diced tomatoes like the Plain Chicken's recipe suggests. This is so delicious. I highly recommend you all give this recipe a try if you haven't tried it before. For dinner the next night, my husband requested that we order takeout from our favorite local mom and pop barbecue place, and I was happy to oblige because, to be honest, I didn't really feel like cooking this night anyway. So it worked out perfectly. But here's what we got. His is on the left-hand side. He got some pulled pork, macaroni and cheese, potato salad, and then his came with a corn muffin. And then I got their pulled pork loaded baked potato, and if you can believe it, this is the half baked potato. I can't imagine how big the large one is. I've never gotten the large one. I've always gotten the half, and it's so big, but it is delicious. I think I've only ever gotten the pulled pork loaded baked potato salad, not baked potato salad, baked potato when we go here, and it's so good. But this was our dinner this night. For dinner the next night, I tried a new recipe for a blackened tilapia and smoked Gouda grits. I mentioned this on not last grocery haul, but the one before, I believe, but just in case you missed that. So I kind of got inspired to make this from watching a show. I found it on Discovery Plus. I think it's called like the Great Soul Food Cook-Off. There was a lady on there, and she made a blackened catfish and smoked Gouda grits dish, and it just looked delicious, and so I knew I wanted to make it. I looked on Pinterest, found a couple different recipes, and I decided to try to recreate one. But when I went to buy the catfish, it was like $17 just for a little thing of catfish. And I'm like, I am not spending that on catfish. So I decided to use tilapia. This package of tilapia was like $5 something, and it's enough for us for 2 meals. So a lot better deal than the catfish. But let me show you how I made this. This was delicious. This was so good. If you are a seafood lover, if you love Cajun food, I highly recommend this recipe. It was delicious. Let me show you how I made it. Okay, here are the grits that I'm using. This is just what I had on hand. These are the quick 5-minute grits. I'm going to cook these up just according to the package instructions. And a quick note, I did veer off the recipe just a little bit for the grits. Here's the smoked Gouda cheese that I'm using. I just got this at Walmart from Walmart grocery pickup, and it wasn't that expensive. It was about $3 and something, I believe. Here's the tilapia that I'm using. Again, got this at Walmart. This package was $5 and something. And then I'm using this Kroger brand Blackened seasoning. Use your favorite Blackened seasoning. If you don't have any on hand, you can look on Pinterest. There are several different recipes for it. I've got my skillet preheating over about medium-high heat with a little bit of oil. I'm going to season one side of the tilapia with the blackened seasoning, add it to my skillet, season the other side. Fish does not take long to cook at all. It took just a couple minutes. And to test to see if it's done, I just took the edge of my fish spatula, I couldn't say that word, my fish spatula, and saw if it flaked easily. It did. So I'm going to remove the fish to a separate plate, and then I'm going to make this sauce in the skillet. I've added in the butter, and then I'm going to add in my chopped onion and bell pepper. I'm going to season that with some salt and pepper and then cook that for about 5 minutes or so until the vegetables are tender. I'm going to add in the minced garlic, some blackened seasoning, heavy whipping cream. I'm going to stir that together until it's mixed well, and then simmer this for a few minutes until that cream becomes thick. Give your sauce a taste and adjust the seasonings if you need to. Once the sauce is thick, I'm going to set it to the side and then finish up the grits. To do that, I'm adding a little pat of butter, and then I'm going to season them with some salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. The recipe called for half and half, which I didn't have any, but I did have some whipping cream on hand, so that's what I'm going to use. Next, I'm adding in the smoked Gouda cheese, and I'm just going to whisk that cheese together. I gave this a taste and then adjusted the seasonings. As you can see, I felt like it needed a little more salt, just a little bit more cream to loosen it up, and then that's it. The grits are done. Okay, here's the finished plate. I just made my husband a plate at first. I wasn't hungry, but I went back and ate some later. This, like I said, was delicious. Again, if you're a Cajun food lover or a seafood lover, I highly recommend this. It was easy. It was really quick. This took maybe not even 20 minutes to put together, and it was just so good and flavorful. So to serve it up, I laid a bed of the grits down, topped it with a piece of the fish, put some of that cream sauce over top of it, and then to go on this side, I had a can of the Glory seasoned, I think these were turnip greens, so I just drained them really well, and then my husband likes to add the like hot pepper vinegar sauce on top of it. So this was dinner, so delicious. For dinner the next night, I had really been wanting pork chops, so I cooked up a pork chop for myself. My husband is not a big fan of pork chops at all. I mean, if I make them, he'll eat them, but I know he really doesn't love them, so I had a leftover chicken breast in my refrigerator that I needed to use up anyway, so I just cooked that up separately for him. I'm going to start by making one of my side dishes. I tried a new recipe for a creamy stovetop macaroni and cheese. This is from the Southern Lady Cooks. I'll of course have the recipe in the description box below, and I did half the recipe. To get started, I cooked up my elbow macaroni noodles. I've drained them and then they're set to the side. In this pot, I've got it over about medium-low heat. I'm going to add in my butter, salt and pepper, milk, shredded cheddar cheese, cream cheese, and cream. I'm going to stir that until it's combined really well, and then just cook that over, like I said, again, medium-low heat until the cheeses are all melted. Next, I'm going to add in my cooked and drained noodles, stir that, and then that's it. You're going to set this to the side. The recipe suggests to let this sit for about 10 minutes to allow it to thicken up. Now for the pork chops, I've got a little bit of oil and a small pat of butter in this skillet. It's over about medium-high heat. I'm going to add in my pork chops. I just seasoned them with some salt and pepper. I kept it simple. You can use whatever seasonings you prefer. As you can see, these are really thin pork chops, so they only took a minute or two on each side. Now, I don't have a recipe for this. This is really easy. I just call these Worcestershire pork chops. There's no real name for it. But once the pork chops have been seared, I add several dashes of Worcestershire sauce and, flip the pork chops over. And the Worcestershire sauce, it kind of caramelizes almost on the pork chops. And it's just, in my opinion, it's really good. So if you've never tried pork chops this way, I would recommend you give that a try. I had these bird's eye peas and mushroom blend in my freezer that I needed to use up. So I'm going to cook these according to the package instructions. Here are the finished pork chops. Here's that finished macaroni and cheese, and then the peas and mushrooms. Next, I'll show you our plates. All right, here are the plates. So my plate is on the right. As you can see, I've got a pork chop, some of the peas and mushrooms, and macaroni and cheese. And then for my husband, I took a chicken breast. Like I said, this is just a single chicken breast we had in our fridge that I needed to use up. I simply seasoned it with some salt and pepper, cooked it in the air fryer. I cooked it for maybe 10-15 minutes at 360 degrees, just until the chicken was at least 165 degrees internal temperature. I asked my husband if there was a certain way he wanted me to serve the chicken, and he was like, could you do like a buffalo chicken sandwich? That sounds good. So I tossed the chicken breast in some buffalo sauce once it was done, added it to a bun, added a slice of cheese, some lettuce, tomato, and then served up the macaroni and cheese and peas for him as well. So this was a super yummy dinner. That stovetop macaroni and cheese, my husband absolutely loved it. Like, he kept raving about it. I thought that it was good. Now, to be honest though, there was something about the texture of it that I prefer. If I'm going to make homemade macaroni and cheese, I prefer to make it the way I normally do, which is to do like a roux and that thing. I'll have that recipe that I use in the description box below, but I prefer it that way. But I mean, this was still good. It's just a personal preference. Like I said, my husband loved this, but this was dinner this night. For dinner the next night, I made burger and beans. Now, burger and beans is something that I remember my dad making for as long as I can remember. And this is also something that his mom, my grandma Lois, used to make. So this is the way that my dad makes it. This is his recipe. I'll have it typed out in the description box below. In this pot, I've got some ground beef that I seasoned with salt. I cooked this until it was brown all the way through. I'm going to drain it and then reserve about a tablespoon or so of fat and then set the ground beef aside. If you don't have a tablespoon or so of fat, you can use oil. So in this pot, this is the same pot that I cooked the ground beef in, I'm adding in the fat or the oil, and I'm going to heat that until it starts to shimmer, and then I'm going to stir in the chili powder. Once that's aromatic, I'm going to add in my finely diced onion. My dad said that sometimes he grates in the onion, mostly to keep my little brother from spending 45 minutes picking out the small pieces of onion. But anyway, once I've added the onion, I'm going to add a little bit of salt and then cook this for a couple of minutes until the onion is translucent. Next, I'm going to add in the minced garlic and tomato paste. If you don't have fresh onion or fresh garlic on hand, my dad says you can just substitute garlic powder or onion powder for that. So once the onions are soft, I'm going to add the ground beef back to the pot. Then I'm going to add in my cans of pork and beans. Next, I'm adding in the Worcestershire sauce, sugar, kitchen bouquet, pepper. I'm going to stir it until it's combined well. Reduce this to a simmer, cover it with a lid, and simmer this for about 10 minutes, and that's it. Here's the finished burger and beans. I would suggest giving it a taste at this point and adjusting the seasonings to your taste. Here is my finished plate. So my grandma served this with applesauce, so my dad served this with applesauce, so that's how I'm serving it up. I believe my sister, she used to do this. I don't know if she still does, but she used to mix her applesauce in with her burger and beans. But if you're a subscriber to my channel, a regular subscriber, you've probably picked up on the fact that I don't like most of my foods to touch or mix. So I kept my applesauce in its own little happy separate container, not touching the burger and beans. But this was my dinner. To me, like I said, this is just comfort food. This is something, like I said, that my grandma made, my dad made, and, so it's just one of those things in our family that we make. I think we all have those, but it just makes me feel at home. It brings me comfort. So I hope that you all will give this a try. It's not fancy food. It's just, good comfort food, budget friendly. So like I said, I hope you all give this a try, but this was my dinner. Super yummy. For dinner the next night, I made homemade pizza. Now, you can use your favorite pizza crust, homemade, store-bought, whatever you prefer. I had this package of pizza crust mix in my pantry that I needed to use up. This is the Walmart brand. If you've never tried this, I highly recommend it. I've used this many times. It's delicious, it's easy, and best of all, it's super cheap. This package of crust mix is like 56 cents at my Walmart, and it makes a large pizza. So even if you had to buy 2 or 3 for your family, that's still really cheap. So like I said, I'm just going to put this together according to the package instructions. I am going to, once the pizza crust is put together, I'm going to go ahead and par bake it for, I believe, 5 minutes is what the package says, and then I'll show you how I'm putting our pizzas together. And a quick note before I share putting the pizzas together. Sorry, I forgot to mention this, but this is just one package of pizza dough. I divided it in half though, because we both wanted 2 different kinds of pizzas. So again, it's the same package. I just divided it in half. I had a leftover chicken breast that I had already cooked. It was in my fridge and I wanted to use it up. So I'm making a chicken bacon ranch pizza for me. Here I have some homemade ranch dressing. You can just use your favorite bottled if you would like, but I really prefer making it myself. It's just the Hidden Valley Ranch and I follow the instructions on the back of the package. So once I've spread that out, I'm adding some of that leftover cooked chicken breast that I mentioned, and then I'm adding some bacon pieces. This I get from Sam's Club. You could use leftover cooked bacon, whatever you've got on hand. I like to add a little bit of chopped up tomato to this chicken bacon ranch pizza. I just feel like the tomato gives it a nice freshness. And then for the cheeses, I have some of the smoked Gouda cheese left over from the smoked Gouda grits that we made a few nights ago. So I'm adding a little bit of the Gouda cheese, a little bit of mozzarella cheese, a little bit of cheddar cheese, mostly just for color. And then I'm going to add just a couple pieces of bacon and chicken on top. Honestly, just for looks, just for pictures, it just kind of looks nice. For my husband, I'm going to make him a buffalo chicken pizza. I'm using this Sweet Baby Ray's buffalo wing sauce. I'm going to spread a layer of that out over the crust. I'm adding some of that same cooked leftover chicken and then some of the same cheeses. So the smoked Gouda, the mozzarella, and the shredded like Mexican blend cheese. A couple pieces of chicken on top of the cheese. And then this is going to go into the oven. I baked this for, I believe, 8 to 10 minutes. And then I did broil it the last minute. Now, I think I've mentioned this before on my channel, but just in case you're new or you missed that video. So my husband is originally from upstate New York, right around the Buffalo area. So this man loves him some buffalo wings. And he swears to me that up north, that it's all about blue cheese with the buffalo wings. So he loves blue cheese dressing. Me personally, I don't like buffalo wings. I'm not a hot sauce vinegar type person. I do like spicy chicken wings, but not buffalo or hot sauce wings. And then I don't care for blue cheese dressing. So this pizza is all about him. But for his buffalo chicken pizza, I thought it would be cool to do like a ranch drizzle, but I thought, no, you know what? He loves blue cheese with his wings. So I am using some of this Marzetti blue cheese dressing, and my husband is a blue cheese dressing, snob or aficionado, however you want to say it. He's very picky about his blue cheese dressing. He loves the blue cheese at Buffalo Wild Wings, and from what I've heard or read online, they use this Marzetti, and he agrees. He thinks it tastes exactly like Buffalo Wild Wings. So I'm just going to drizzle some of this blue cheese dressing over his buffalo chicken pizza. I also added some chopped green onions to his pizza, so that's on the left, and then on the right hand side is my chicken bacon ranch pizza, and I just added some chopped green onions to mine as well. Here are the finished plates. So to serve up with the pizza, I just have some celery and carrots on his plate. I do not like celery. This video makes me sound like I'm really, really picky, but I promise I'm not that much of a picky eater. I'm really not. But anyway, and then on my plate, I've got some carrots and cucumbers. I've got ranch dressing to dip my veggies in. I gave him blue cheese for his veggies, and then he has his buffalo chicken pizza. I've got my chicken bacon ranch pizza. These pizzas, well, let me say my chicken bacon ranch pizza, because that's the one that I ate. It was freaking delicious. It was so good, and he loved his buffalo chicken pizza. So this was our dinner this night. So yummy, super easy, really budget friendly. So like I said, if you all haven't used those Great Value pizza crusts, I definitely recommend you give them a try. For the last dinner in this week's video, I made chicken and gnocchi. This recipe is from Kat over at Southern Farming Kitchen. I'll have her channel linked in the description box below. I'm sure you're familiar with Miss Kat, but if you're not, definitely go check out her video when you're done watching mine. I love her channel, love her personality. I've made a few of her recipes so far, and they've all been delicious. So I've shared this before on my channel, so I won't go into a lot of detail about it, but let me quickly explain what I did. So in this crock pot here, I know it doesn't look very appetizing, but what I've got in here are chicken breasts, some garlic and herb seasoning. I use the Mrs. Dash, a little bit of salt and pepper, a can of cream of chicken soup, a can of cream of mushroom soup, some water and chicken bouillon, and I believe that's it. So I'm just going to kind of give that a stir, cover it with a lid, and I cooked it on high for about 4 or 5 hours. You could also cook it low all day long. Of course, with it being chicken, make sure you've cooked it to at least 165 degrees. I've removed the chicken from the crock pot, shredded it with some forks. I've added it back to my crock pot. Here's what it looks like. I'm going to add in my gnocchi. This is the gnocchi that I'm using. I get this at the Dollar Tree. It's super cheap and it's delicious. So you just want to make sure that when you add your gnocchi that you break it up. You don't want like big pieces. They kind of stick together, so make sure you break them up. I'm going to cover this with a lid, and I cook this for about another 30 minutes or so until the gnocchi were tender. Here are the plates. This is delicious. It's so good. It's just like chicken and dumplings, except instead of, making like biscuit type dumplings, you're just using potato dumplings. So it's really quick and easy, super budget friendly. I recommend you all give this a try. It's really comforting. This was a cold day. It snowed this day, so this was perfect. All right, that's it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you liked this video and that you got some dinner inspiration from it. If you did, please leave a thumbs up below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.